Hello, everyone. Please, if you can hear me, say yay, hi, anything, really. We've been having, okay, it says, oh, we're live. Okay, let's share it. Dr. Ann, hold on a minute. I'm just going to share this and I'm going to share it with you as well. Okay, I will send it to you so you kind of see where we are. So I'm gonna, okay, that's my freedom, freedom to thrive. Okay, sent it to that, and then Robertson. Ooh, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I've seen that. Good evening, everyone. Oh, we've got 4 or 5 people. Oh my God, today has been a day and a half. Dr. Anne and I have just been going through the most, but nonetheless, we are here, and I'm so happy and appreciative to really just introduce Dr. Anne. And so I'm going to be doing that. Yeah.
Oh, there. Okay.
Oh my God, we've been doing
For a moment, I
everything
couldn't hear
today
you.
to
I was
try and
like,
get this
no.
stream going. But we're here now. That's all that's important. We're here and we're going to get things moving. I'm so sorry, Dr. Anne. I know you don't have much time, and we're going to try and just move really fast. And so, the first thing that I need to do is to introduce Dr. Anne to you properly. And when I say properly, hold on, let me just remove this because I don't know why we have this there. Thank you. Yeah. So when I say introduce Dr. Anne properly, I need to really just introduce who Dr. Anne is, because Dr. Anne is an incredible lady that I have happened to get to know and actually work with as well. And I thought, you know what, I have to have her on my platform as well. And so I'm going to just give you a bit of introduction about Dr. Anne. So, Dr. Anne is our guest for tonight, and she is a relationship psychologist from My Freedom to Thrive. Please bear that in mind. If you need to take a note of it, take a note of it. My Freedom to Thrive. Because this is so important. By the end of this stream, you realize why that is important. And so thank you so much, Dr. Anne. Dr. Anne is somebody who specializes in helping people, especially women, that are in relationships, and she helps women, well, people, but most especially women, in terms of building and sustaining healthy relationships, and also just general mental well-being, because we all know how important that is, especially times like this. And the Dr. Anne gives you the knowledge, she gives you the confidence, the tools, she gives you the resources and everything needed for you to be able to build and sustain a healthy relationship. And that can be husband and wife, whatever it is, but generally a relationship. It can even be a relationship with yourself. And we'll come to that once we talk about my own experience with Dr. Anne. And that's what Dr. Anne has been doing. And she works so hard in trying to get women to thrive, teach them to help them to thrive, even in terms of things like divorce and really bad breakups, that you can come out on the other side and be really, really good, regardless of all the crazy things you might have gone through. And that is what I love about Dr. Anne. But I'll get more into what I love about Dr. Anne because there's so many of them. And then additionally, Dr. Anne doesn't just only work with people going through relationship issues. I will tell you personally about my own experience with Dr. Anne. My own experience with Dr. Anne is not, it wasn't because of a divorce, a relationship issue, but basically because I was dealing with grief and a lot of losses in my life. And I just felt like nobody kind of understood what I was going through. And I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to work with Dr. Anne because she got to see something in me and she got to really just help me. I can't say she got to see, she helped me to really see what it is that I needed to do to make changes in my life and things that will really benefit me in making sure that I was all right, my family, my kids, and everybody was okay. And I am to this day so, so grateful to Dr. Anne for everything that she did for me, working together. She just opened my eyes because I was always the kind of person that felt like, you know what, I have to wait until I'm at the, the right end of how much I can cope before I can seek help. And through my work with Dr. Anne, I learned that no, you don't, it doesn't have to be that way. And I can say, I'm sure my mom, my husband, other people, friends, they'll be within this audience, my sister, that will also really justify to that, to let her know that, look, we've seen a difference in Miriam. And before, I used to just wait until I'm at the wit's end. There's nothing else, no other option before I seek help. But through my work with Dr. Anne, I learned that, you know what, maybe I need to have a number where I just like, you know what, this is it for me. And I need to find a solution with that. And it's so crazy because recently, I don't remember the last time I was in hospital admitted for like a lengthy amount of time. And my friend's family can justify the fact that I haven't because I've been more in control. And I learned that from Dr. Anne. So thank you so much, Dr. Anne, for that. But besides that, Dr. Anne doesn't only help people like myself. She has programs that can help many of us. She's also got a Facebook group, which is free to join, that you can be part of everything going on. And thank you so much, Dr. Anne, for everything that you've done. But we're going to go straight into this because I know we don't have much time. We've been spending so much time fiddling, finding out what needs to be done. So, Dr. Anne, my first question to you is, I want you to tell us about yourself and your journey so far to where you are today.
Okay, so start with the hard questions, Miriam. Why don't you? So, okay, how did I end up here? This was not a straightforward line. I didn't go in a direct path. I was in a marriage that wasn't particularly great, and when I came out of it, that's pretty much when I had to change direction. So, and in some ways, it was what made me, I suppose, a bit more humble and understand people a bit better, because up to that point, I'd been pretty much protected. I was in my own little bubble. And when the marriage broke down, it was pretty much just me and how did I get through life, and how did I keep going. So the work I do now is a direct result of my own personal relationships experiences. That's why, I've ended up working with women, especially women who are, either in relationships that aren't very good, or coming out of relationships that aren't very good, or recognize they have a pattern of being in relationships that aren't very good and they don't want to do it again. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Can you hear me, Dr. Anne?
Yep, I can.
All right. So for me, I wanted to know, that definitely sounds fantastic, but I also wanted to know, what was it that inspired you into getting into not just psychology, but working specifically and like becoming a relationship expert?
So the psychology part of it, I didn't really want to be a psychologist, I'll be honest. When I did it at university, I found it very, very far away from what my experiences of people were. So, it was very theory based, and I couldn't join the dots with the theory and what people, would tell me. So I took a really long route round, doing a lot of research work in my career, speaking to every sort of client group possible, from working with children all the way up to elderly and dementia patients, working with addictions, working with phobias. And I went through a whole variety of client groups. And it wasn't, but I still didn't want to be a psychologist, because my relationship with my clients didn't fit into the normal model. And that was the greatest therapeutic tool that I have is a human connection. So the theory and having a rule book or having a checklist of how you work with clients, and you already have your model, it just didn't suit me. And I felt that it created a distance. So when I moved to Spain, I had to retrain, and I started doing clinical hypnotherapy. I'd been learning hypnotherapy since I was actually 14, so I'd done it a very long time, but I'd never used it clinically. And what happened was, when I was doing that type of work with clients, they all started to come to me for really complicated relationship issues, but a lot of abuse. So I'd stayed away from trauma and abuse because I didn't really have much I didn't feel like I had a skill set to deal with it. But suddenly I was being faced with it on a daily basis. And that's when the psychology theory and the practice came together. And that's when it was like, okay, now I am a psychologist. Now I know that the knowledge that I've learned over all these years, I can do something with it. There's something practical that I can go in when someone's suffering or someone's in pain. And I've got so much experience now. I know, like for example, with you, Miriam, I know where to look for the blocks now. So it's an intuitive type of activity, but it's based on a lot of research. And it's only recently that I would even say, yeah, I'm a psychologist. I know that sounds a bit back to front, but it's the truth.
No, that's completely understandable. But for me, I also wanted to know, right, besides what inspired you to be a psychologist, why did you specifically chose to be specialized in like women and relationships?
Again, it really comes back to personal experiences. My childhood was okay, but my mum and dad had some significant issues in their relationship. Those issues then passed on to me and how I understood what the dynamics of healthy relationships were. That then carried on to who I chose as a partner, and then it followed me through into the divorce, and the divorce was highly problematic. Now, as I was going through that process, even though I had all my psychology expertise and all my knowledge, I realized that actually I'd been the one that had picked this particular partner, and it was about working out where had I got this wrong? What was it I had done that had almost created this blind spot in me that meant I was in this relationship loop, that I was, and when I look back, every, other boyfriends, they'd all been pretty ropey. So it was definitely something about the filters that I had. And I didn't have anybody to help me work out this stuff. So I was having to kind of piece it together myself. And as I did it, then I started doing voluntary work in Facebook groups with domestic violence. I was talking to my clients. I was seeing similar patterns. And at that point, I started to realize, oh, okay, this isn't just me. This is something that is quite common amongst a lot of women. So for me, I've told you, Miriam, my clients that I'm really working for are the children. Okay, so I don't work for you, I work for your kids. So for me, the reason I do this work is I want to make sure that I give the women or the men, because I work with some men as well, but it's predominantly women, but some men as well, the best opportunity to pick the partner that's suitable and good for them, so that their children have the opportunity to be able to be raised in a happy, healthy relationship. Now, all relationships have up and downs. There's good times, bad times, but some relationship choices are just beyond that. They're really, really quite toxic. So if those ladies or those men come to me and we can work out what it is that they're not quite working out right, then they've got a much better chance of having a successful relationship.
That is fantastic, Dr. Ann. Thank you so much. But from your perspective, what would be your advice when it comes to, obviously, whether we're men or women, we all sometimes find ourselves in toxic relationships. It doesn't mean that that is something that we desire or we want, but we find ourselves in the situations. So, what would be your advice in terms of like either avoiding or dealing with this sort of situations? How do we deal with them? Whether you're a man, you're a woman, how do you deal with them for the greater good?
Okay, so the first thing, nobody attracts these difficult individuals. So let's get it straight. There's some people that are out there that are problematic, okay? They're manipulative, they're entitled, and they're just not good to be around. Now, we're not attracted to them. What happens is these individuals are going, imagine it's a street, they go around on the street and they knock on everybody's doors. Now, if you've come from a childhood where, say, your mum and dad didn't get on very well, or there was mental health, or maybe there was an addictions issue in the family, then the chances are that you haven't learned how to spot these characters and metaphorically keep your front door shut so they don't come in. Now, the problem is that these individuals have some very slick techniques to move in on you. So they move in fast. They're telling you they love you. They want to see you. They're bombarding you with text messages. They seem too good to be true. Now, unfortunately, especially for women, we've been brought up with the wrong rom-com attitude that, love at first sight and it's all wonderful and it's flowers and it's great. And we met across a crowded room. These particular individuals know that, so they use that and they piggyback on the back of it. So that before we know it, we're kind of coupled up, and women in particular, we're very fast at coupling. So we might meet someone once or maybe twice, and we've already decided we're in a relationship with them, but we don't actually know who this person is. So at that early beginning, it's very easy for someone to be on their best behavior. You know, we put our best foot forward, and even if we're relatively normal, we do that. You know, we don't want people to really know what we're like when we've just got our PJs on and we haven't actually done anything for 2 days. But what happens is these individuals can't keep it up. So what I tell my clients is you want to be waiting at least 3 months before you're really changing your life to go around these people, because otherwise what you're going to find out is they're almost like an emotional vampire. And when they get in, it's really difficult to get them out. So especially for people dating, you need to know that the timing of the moves of these individuals who are problematic are really difficult. Now, if you're in a relationship and it's a difficult one, then it's really about working out to what extent is this person meeting my needs. So a lot of my clients that come to me who are at the point of shall I stay, shall I go, it's really about them getting in touch with them, understanding what they want, what they like, what they need, because often they've been in these types of very low quality relationships for so long that they don't even know. They are literally living in a relationship where they feel like a glorified slave for their partner. So it's about them getting in touch with, okay, you know, are these behaviors, what are you getting out of this? What is this relationship giving you? And if nothing, then really is this where you want to be? Unfortunately, a lot of the relationship literature talks about communication issues. Now, if you're dealing with somebody who's very difficult, it doesn't matter what you communicate like. They know full and well what you're saying. They just don't care. So then it really becomes the question is, do you want to continue in this relationship or not? And that's a difficult question for sure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ann. That is really fantastic. And one of the things that I also wanted to ask was on behalf of other people going through all different types of relationships, right? What, from your perspective and your expertise, what would you say are signs of a toxic relationship that at that point you need to realize that this is toxic?
If you feel bad in your relationship more than you feel good, then that's a clear sign that something's going wrong, that your needs aren't being met. What happens a lot of the time with my female clients, and sometimes with the males, but particularly with the female clients, is if they see bad behavior in their partner, they immediately make a lot of reasons and excuses for why that's happening. So the person may be lying, they may be evading. So, for example, if I ask a normal person, what did you do last night? The person will say, oh, I went and did XYZ. If you ask someone who's difficult that question, what you're likely to get is, oh, there you go again. You're always asking me these sorts of questions. You know, it's really your problem. Now, what happens is when I feel that, when someone gives me that sort of response, I start to feel quite anxious and I start to feel very uncomfortable. And then I start to think, oh, maybe I am asking too much. Now, that isn't a good quality relationship. Now, it's not about your communication in terms of asking your partner that, it's the communication that you're getting from your partner. So, one of the things I ask my clients to do is what I call a mirror test. And you have to think about it this way: if your partner was you, would you be doing that? Would you be acting in the way that you're getting from your partner? Because if the answer is no, then you know there's a problem there. There's a lack of respect, there's a lack of open communication, there's a lack of love. And when you get to that there's ultimately a lack of trust.
Thank you, Dr. Ann. Thank you so much. That is so appreciated. And I think sometimes we really overlook at some of this, signs, symptoms, and all of those things that are right in our faces because obviously society tells us otherwise, and as opposed to what's actually going on, and you've been doing this for so long. And another question that I wanted to ask you was, you already know, right, what goes on when it comes to toxic relationships and unhealthy relationships because so many of us are so guilty of it, and relationships that we know and are really unlikely to thrive, to go to the next level basically. But for me, I wanted to know, what is your advice if it comes to toxic relationships, right? And somebody is already in that relationship, whether it's a toxic relationship or a divorce, they're already in the situation. What would your advice be for them to thrive beyond this, to be able to move, just thrive during all of that situation? What would be your advice?
Okay, so when you're in a really toxic relationship, it's very, very difficult to thrive. And the reason is that the person you're with is doing everything they possibly can to keep you destabilized, and they have their focus on them as an individual. So when you've got somebody who is very entitled, is very self-centered, what will happen is anytime that let's say it's the woman, anytime she makes any attempt to be able to create space for her own life, for her own abilities, for her own development, that is going to be seen almost as an attack on the partner. They're going to see that as something that isn't allowed, that they don't want that individual having. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is that it's taken the attention off them, which they don't like. But the second thing is when that woman starts to do activities for herself and she starts to eke out this part that becomes her own identity, then there's always the risk that the penny drops and she realizes, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. So that partner will generally police all of their free time quite a lot. So if you're in a toxic relationship, or if you start to recognize that, you don't have any sort of spare time or time for yourself, and that you're being run ragged and there's really no support from your partner. In fact, what you find is you're walking on eggshells. In fact, what you find is you're carrying his weight as well as the children or your job, and in fact there's little to no nurturance coming in your direction. Then you really need to think about, okay, do I need to go and see a therapist? Do I need to go and start to speak to somebody about this? Because let's be honest, it's not easy to leave these situations. It's not a case of going, oh yeah, okay, that's it, I'm done and dusted and I'm out the door. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of clarity that needs to be made, and there also has to be a lot of strengthening, ego strengthening and character strengthening, because a lot of women by that point are married, they're enmeshed in the relationship, so they're worried about how are they going to financially survive, what will happen with the children, will I be able to cope on my own? So they need help to make that transition. But the first thing is going, you know what, maybe there's a problem here that I need to go and explore, without it necessarily meaning that they've made a decision to leave. That's way, way down the line. But opening it up and speaking to someone about it is the first step to just even having a health check. Am I overreacting? Is this part of my relationship normal or is it not? Because often we're stuck in a relationship and we're on our own in a little bubble. So we can be experiencing some quite awful behaviors from our partners and not realize how abnormal it is because we're not testing it or asking anybody else. So you have to be brave, and that is the first step, of a brave step, going and speaking to someone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anne. So, for somebody who isn't necessarily in, let's say, a toxic relationship or divorce or whatever, and they've got something healthy, which I know you teach. This is, one of the bases of your programs. You want to teach how to build that or maintain that. So if somebody's got that, what is your advice regarding maintaining that?
The main thing is always to be able to be in touch with yourself. It's very hard in life when we've got multiple, pressures on. We need to make sure that we've got that little bit of space where we are having our needs met. Often my clients have no experience of asking their partners for anything. So, I have to start with very basic exercises like ask for a glass of water because they've never actually asked for anything. So they become so ingrained in doing everything, carrying the weight themselves. At some point, they don't even allow their partner to actually meet them halfway because they're so busy doing it all themselves. So when you're looking for a healthy relationship, what you're looking for is a degree of reciprocity. I do something for you, you reciprocate. So imagine it's a game of tennis where we're hitting the ball back and forward. Now that means that the women also have to be present to allow their partners to have the opportunity to return the ball. A lot of women struggle with that because we tend to have multiple things that we've got going at the same time. Then we push ourselves to overwhelm. We push ourselves to the point where we're tipping over the edge because we think I need to be able to do this on my own all the time. And that isn't the basis of a healthy relationship. So that's when you are in a healthy relationship, you're maintaining that back and forward flow. Sometimes your partner's going to need your support more, sometimes you're going to need their support more, but there's going to be almost like an equilibrium. If we want an unconscious account of how many favors I'm owed, that we're never allowing it to get too far into someone else's side. It's always going back and forward. And when we maintain that, we maintain a degree of connection. We maintain that we're not alone in this fight on our own. Because basically, what most women are looking for, and most men, quite honestly, are looking for life partners who can be their teammate, that they know that has got their back, and that they are able to have that part where the man feels very masculine and he's supporting and protecting his female partner, and his female partner also knows that she can nurture him. But at the same time, both of them recognize there need to be individuals who grow and develop in and of themselves. If you get too enmeshed, it's highly problematic. If you've got one above the other, it's highly problematic. So what you want is a running mate who is at your side, and if one of you stumbles, they'll pick you up. If the other one stumbles, they'll pick you up.
Thank you so much. Let me just do that. Thank you so much, Dr. Anne. This is just fantastic. Just knowing that, somebody else understands everything, because sometimes people don't. And I want to thank you for that. And another thing that I wanted to ask you is, for you, what is next on your list of things to do, like your goals that you want to achieve? What's on your goals? What's on your list of things that you need to just tick off?
The reason I'm not a coach, and I did try it, was I'm terrible at goals. I am honestly appalling at it. And when I saw the question you were going to ask me for goals, I was like,
Oh my.
oh. But I thought about it, and what I would really like is to have a network of women, you know, other professionals, women that I work with, who we all work together, because there's some very grounded women that I've come across, you know. Yeah, it's like they dream big, but they've got their feet on the ground. And a lot of them are hardworking mums, and you know, they know what the reality is of juggling it all. It's not, you know, it might look glam on Instagram, but let's be honest, it's not. It's hard work being a professional, having the kids, getting them to school, doing the homework, making the tea, having a life, all of that. And I love that in doing this work, I've come into contact with so many, you know, kick-ass women who are normal, quite frankly. And that's really what then, you know, my next goal is to really build a strong network, to do events, to be able to do education, each with their own stories, each with their own specialities. So, you know, we don't overwhelm ourselves with, you know, you too can do this in 10 days if you know, go forward. Because it doesn't work like that, life. It just doesn't. And I think sometimes it's about having women having, you know, who come out and do tell their story and
Doctor,
provide those real role models.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your camera's doing all sort of strange things. You've gone black because it's dark. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it's not a very big goal, Miriam. It's a work in progress.
No, why do I keep clicking on the wrong one? Yep.
Oh, there you are. You're back. No, you're sideways. What's happening?
Yeah, sometimes it just does what it needs to do. But
I can't hear you, Miriam. Sorry. You're muted, I think. Yeah.
All right, Doxan, can you hear me from this one? Yep. All right, go ahead.
So did you ask a question? Sorry, it was a bit strange.
I cannot hear you, but I'm sure I will.
Did you ask something, Miriam?
Yeah, why is this thing doing this to me? Okay.
Hello?
Can you hear me? I think I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you see me? Yeah, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Can you see me?
Oh, God. It is not working, Dr. Ann. But I love you so much.
Can you hear me?
We just have to round it up because it's not working. I don't know what the matter is.
Can you hear me now?
Auntie Miriam, you know that is one of my closest friends.
Because I was on.
What did you just say?
I was on an
It's
interview.
great to be
What?
here.
She can't hear me anymore, so. Dr. Ann, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Dr. Ann, can you hear me? Dr. Ann, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, I can't
see
hear
me?
you, Dr. Ann.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's happened. Hi.
Nothing. Alright, I'm gonna use my laptop. We're done now, but we're just trying to find this damn. Okay, Dr. Ann, give me a few minutes.
Okay.
Oh, just put it down there, babe. Just put it down there, babe. Dr. Ann, can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me now. Okay. All right, Dr. Ann can hear me. Hello, everybody. We're going to leave this place because soon enough nobody can hear us.
Oh no.
All right, Dr. Ann, I will need to.
Oh, I can't hear you now either. No. You've gone. Anything? I don't know if you can hear me, Miriam. I can't hear anything.